The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, I am thrilled to bring you another installment of In the Know, a beginner guide for new and old players alike. Designer Maxine Newman recently released the rules for the customizable keyword, and we are going to talk about them today. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these In the Know videos. If you'd like to support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Special thanks to Coleman Rochitty for the amazing art that graces the channel, Nicole Fiscus for the new Whisper in Darkness logo that I use for the podcast, and Nate Lost in Time and Space for the intro as well as the overlays. Thank you very much. I couldn't do it without you. Without further ado, let's get started. So what is customizable? Customizable is a keyword that appears on some cards in the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion, such as Hunter's Armor to the right. Customizable cards are signified by the special level symbol around the resource cost of the card. This indicates that the customizable card has a variable level. Each card with customizable starts at level 0 and has a separate sheet containing a checklist of upgrades that can be purchased with experience points. For example, Hunter's Armor comes with this sheet that has 7 potential upgrades. Each upgrade is accompanied by 1 or more checkboxes. As you can see to the right, Enchanted has 1 checkbox, while Protective Ruins has 2, and so on and so forth. Unless otherwise specified by a card effect, an investigator can only mark checkboxes on an upgrade sheet before or after a scenario when they are upgrading or purchasing new cards for their deck. Spending 1 point of experience allows an investigator to mark 1 checkbox on one of their card's upgrade sheets, which is permanent and cannot be refunded. To purchase an upgrade, an investigator must mark all of an upgrade's checkboxes. For example, if you spent 1 experience point, you could mark the checkbox beside Enchanted, or you could mark the checkbox beside Protective Runes. If you mark the checkbox beside Enchanted, you would purchase it. However, if you have only marked 1 of the checkboxes beside Protective Runes, you will need to mark the other before you complete the purchase. Once an upgrade is purchased, each copy of the card it is paired with is treated as having that upgrade, as a gained card ability for that investigator only. For example, if you mark the checkbox beside Enchanted and you have 2 copies of Hunter's Armor in your deck, Enchanted applies to both of those copies. This is very important. Customizable cards are treated as having that upgrade for that investigator only. A customizable card's level is equal to half the total number of checkboxes marked on its upgrade sheet, rounded up. For example, if you marked the checkbox beside Enchanted, Hunter's Armor would become a level 1 card. If you marked Enchanted and Protective Runes, it would become a level 2 card. An upgrade sheet cannot have more than a total of 10 checkboxes marked. For example, if you marked the checkboxes besides Hex Drinker and Armor of Thorns, you would only be able to mark 4 more checkboxes, for a total of 10. Spending experience on 1 or more upgrades for a customizable card already in an investigator's deck is considered upgrading a card for the purpose of card effects. For example, this allows you to benefit from cards like Arcane Research. Just a reminder, Arcane Research is a permanent asset that was released in the Threads of Fate Mythos pack. It's a permanent, and when you purchase Arcane Research, you suffer 1 mental trauma. After each scenario of a campaign, reduce the experience cost of the first spell card you upgrade before the next scenario by 1. If you have a customizable spell like Power Word, you can use a card like Arcane Research to reduce the cost of the first upgrade you check by 1. How does customizable interact with deck building options? Some investigators are not able to upgrade a customizable card past a certain point if their deck building options would forbid them from including the card in their deck after the upgrade is made. For example, Carolyn Fern's deck building options include Guardian cards level 0 to 3, neutral cards level 0 to 5, cards that heal horror level 0 to 5, and up to 15 other Seeker and or Mystic cards level 0 to 1. Carolyn has an additional restriction: no weapon cards level 1 to 5. If Carolyn wanted to upgrade the Hunter's Armor in her deck, she would be able to mark a total of 6 checkboxes. which would turn the Hunter's Armor into a level 3 card. Carolyn is restricted to Guardian cards level 0 to 3, so she wouldn't be able to check more than 6 boxes. If Carolyn wanted to upgrade the Power Word in her deck, she would only be able to check 2 boxes because she is limited to Mystic cards level 0 to 1. That means upgrades like Bonded, Tongue Twister, and Thrice Spoken are off limits to Carolyn because each has 3 checkboxes beside them, and Carolyn can only mark a total of 2. If Carolyn wanted to upgrade the Runic Axe in her deck, she wouldn't be able to because she is limited to weapon cards level 0, and upgrading the Runic Axe would immediately make it a weapon card level 1 to 5, which would mean it's off limits for Carolyn. She can use the level 0 version, but she cannot upgrade it. Carolyn has one other deck building option, cards that heal horror. Now, Fantasy Flight Games hasn't spoiled a customizable card with an upgrade that heals horror, but if Carolyn wanted to include that card in her deck, she would have to purchase that heals horror upgrade first in order for the card to be legal in her deck. After she purchases the heals horror upgrade, she would be free to purchase other upgrades as she wished. An investigator may directly purchase one or more copies of a new customizable card with one or more upgrades by spending only the amount of experience points required to purchase those upgrades. Doing so counts as purchasing a new card, not upgrading an existing card. This is a very important rule to remember. For example, if you earn 2 experience points at the end of a scenario and you wish to purchase a customizable card, you can spend that 2 experience points on upgrades and then include both copies of that card in your deck. Unlike traditional upgrades, you do not need to spend that experience points twice to purchase 2 copies of that card. You spend it only once on the upgrade, and then you get to include both copies. This also happens if you include a card like In the Thick of It in your deck at the beginning of a game. In the Thick of It is a permanent asset that was released in the Edge of the Earth Investigator expansion. It is limit 1 per deck, and you purchase it at deck creation. When you purchase In the Thick of It, you suffer 2 total physical and or mental trauma, then you earn 3 experience points. When you earn those 3 experience points, you could turn around and purchase a customizable card like Power Word. Power Word has an upgrade Thrice Spoken. You may include 3 copies of Power Word in your deck. When you give a command, using 1 copy, also give that command to each other enemy with one of your copies of Power Word attached. If you were to purchase the Thrice Spoken upgrade, you would get to include all 3 copies of Power Word in your deck for that 3 experience points. Alternatively, you could spend that 3 experience points on any of the upgrades on the Power Word upgrade card, and you would still get to include 2 copies of Power Word in your deck. So how do customizable cards work during gameplay? Once an upgrade is purchased, each copy of the card it is paired with is treated as having that upgrade, as a gained card ability for that investigator only. Upgrades for customizable cards are considered to be present on a card at all times, even while the card is in an out-of-play area, such as an investigator's hand or discard pile. During gameplay, upgrade sheets should be placed in an out-of-play area nearby so they can be quickly referenced. This will require some bookkeeping on your part. Some of the ideas I've heard include placing the upgrade card in a protective sleeve and then using a washable marker to mark the checkboxes. If you don't want to mark up the cards that are included in the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion, you'll be able to download upgrade sheets from the Fantasy Flight Games website that you can print off for yourself. That's going to do it for my look at the customizable keyword. Let me know in the comments down below what you think now that we have the rules for this new keyword that will be released in the Scarlet Keys expansion. Thanks for watching and have a great day. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.